Welcome to Ojo's Dojo. I'm your host, Joshua Ojo. I'm also the co-founder of a small startup called codingforfinance.co.za. We teach accountants how to code. This is a podcast that I make just because I like to do it. I'm trying to start making it good, so that's requiring a bit more effort, but I'm not promising consistency in terms of when I release them. So, hey, who knows when the next one will come out. Anyway, this one even was kind of a fluke. So this podcast came about because I went to a startup pitching competition and I got to meet one of the super impressive founders. I actually met quite a few of them, but I recorded a podcast with this one. So his name's Kiko. He's based out of Kenya. He teaches, or rather, he helps teachers by equipping them with content and technology to be able to teach STEM topics or STEAME topics to K through 12 learners in Kenya. So if you're interested in technology, African progress, education, Amazon, the Amazon story is really interesting, and the story of how they've even been able to raise funding without giving up any equity in their business. If you're interested in any of that, I think you're really going to enjoy this podcast. It's just a nice chilled conversation between two guys who are into business and tech and stuff. So if you hope you stick around, listen to the end. I don't know, I really enjoyed the conversation, so I hope you guys will too. Who are you? What sort of led you to where you are now, kind of a thing?
Yeah, sure. So it's just basically the passion and the need to give back to the society. The need, like, seeing who we are as Africans and the problems that we're going through, and the ultimate urge to know that we have a key role to play. Like, for those who have the opportunity and the advantage to be where we are, we really need to kind of save the continent. So it's our ultimate responsibility. And so that's basically the reason why I do what I do, because definitely I do know the power of education. And luckily, I think one of the biggest Nelson Mandela said the only way you can change the world, or the biggest weapon to change the world, is education. And so for me, I've always seen what education has done for a lot of people, for Africans, change the world, and also done that for me. Having of course really graduated on an electrical and telecommunication degree course, and what that meant for me is, could I use those same skills to make an impact for other few students, and maybe ultimately that would have a ripple effect to the rest of the continent.
Okay, cool. I think I like that vision and mission to make Africa a better place and put us more on sort of the global world stage, and just to help as many people as possible. And I think I'm sort of also on that mission. I think over the weekend you've given me like a bit of like your like sort of life story and how you got to where you are, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But like, could you sort of give us maybe like your whole, as like everything you want to sort of say about, from like where you were born to the sort of founding moments of your business, Angaza Elimu.
Right. Yeah, so I would say I was born in a tiny village in eastern part of Kenya. So Kenya being in Eastern African.
The east of the east.
Yeah, the east of the east. Until part of my whole life, I think, until I was 13, I spent in the village, I would say. So I went for my primary school in the village, and I usually say I went to primary school when we had quite an interesting time. I told you this story about when free primary education was being introduced, which was a good thing. I mean, this meant that parents now don't have to pay to have their kids in school. So every parent now had the desire to ultimately see their kid go to school. But what that had was, more kids in school, but then there's pretty I mean, the government is trying its bit to make a little investments to increase about the resources, but then you find that the resources that are existing are fully stretched. Because you increase the numbers and then you don't increase the resources, so there's a whole huge stretching of the resources. So that was kind of like the scenario in the schools, in the primary schools, and of course, all like Kenya being third or a developing country, definitely pretty much of the society is in the low level income. So definitely, it's kind of like a chaos, I would say. But that really didn't hinder me from having good results for my primary school. So got good results for my primary school, and definitely had like a shift in life to go into a national school. I mean, national schools are the best, well funded, little population, good teachers, enough resources. So that was a completely different scenario from what it was in my primary school. And of course, that means, I mean, if you get to a national school, then your future is kind of determined, like, how your path would be. But then you ask yourself, like, how many opportunities are there? So we do have very few, there were about like at that time 10 national schools. And you can imagine how many people are fighting to get positions in there. So for those who don't go to national schools, then their future would say it's not well predetermined. So they really have to kind of work hard, because again, it's a continuation of the same scenario that they had in primary school. So of course I did well also in high school, went to pursue an electrical engineering degree, and at that point is where kind of like I would see what tech would do in other sectors, and I kind of felt like definitely I need to use the same skills to support the situation. But my goal was to teach kids how to use computers. So that's how basically we began. Like, wanna teach kids skills because I do believe, like, I mean, I would say I'm a bit biased here. Like, everyone must be an engineer to build stuff. Because of what everything is built, it's all the work of engineers. I mean, no offense to other careers, but you could see the transformation that engineers have played in the world. Thumbs up. So that's what definitely I wanted to do. But then now, after going to the schools back again in the village, we kind of found out that the scenario hasn't improved. So I would say our mission of teaching kids how to code or give them skills was too fast paced. Like, we needed first to solve more foundational problems in the schools. And this what literally means is getting students to understand basic arithmetic, get students to understand how to communicate in English. So more numeracy and literacy are the basic, most foundational skills that students need to do before you even kind of start thinking of trying to teach them coding skills. Because one can't code, I mean, if they don't get basic arithmetic skills. So there was that gap that now needed more attention, as I would say. And so that now gave us a position of how we want to base what we do. So let's first start with the foundation and have the skills on top of that. So that I would say that has really played a key role into terms of the work that we do, because we're always looking at learning as a continuous and a progressive thing or activity. And if you trying to build a house from the top rather than starting from the foundation, then ultimately you'll never have a house. So you're gonna keep on house starting from the bottom and keep on adding those blocks until you get that magnificent house that you're always looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like, there's that line by the renowned poet and philosopher Drake. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's so true. I think that sort of speaks to the idea of like, there's like a growing, they say, the digital divide, right? And it's, I guess on the one hand it's access to technology, but on the other hand it's like even the technology education. Like, how can you say, oh, we want this many engineers in all different types of fields, but you only have so many people who know basic arithmetic, who know how to read, are able to communicate their creations to other people, to be able to get it funded or partner with people or whatever it is. So Yeah, I completely agree with that.
And with that, I think it's kind of what really sets us apart or separates us from being contributors to the digital world. Because now in Africa, we're just more of consumers. Because all what we're seeing more in the digital world is all these huge, amazing products being done in the developed country, which I feel we can contribute a lot. And I think right now we've seen a shift. I mean, this is the reason why we're seeing a lot of all these big tech companies setting up shop in Africa. We've seen Microsoft is doing that, Google is doing that. Because one, they've seen that there's a future, or Africa has the potential, or Africa is moving away from just being consumers to creators.
That's so true.
So and so with the growing population, and I think there is research that being done that shows, I think by 2035 Africa will be contributing more of the workforce than the rest of the world. But if that's the case, that we'll have this workforce. The big question is this workforce actually ready, or the people that we're putting them in the workforce? And that's why now we need, again, from the foundation, start really looking at our education systems and seeing really are they well positioned to produce really that quality of workforce that is gonna move the world forward.
Yeah, that's so true. And I mean, we have on the continent, we have the capability to do these things.
Right. Yeah.
AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services was literally started in Cape Town.
Wow. Yeah.
Did you know that?
No.
How
Some
crazy.
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. AWS was started in Cape Town. So the story is the guy, like one of the first products, I think it was EC2 or one of them.
Yeah, EC2 is the first product of AWS. Yeah.
So the guy that started it grew up in South Africa. He was South African. He moved to the US, and then somehow he ended up joining Amazon.
Yeah.
Then when Jeff Bezos and all them guys started the sort of push to like, I'm not a software engineer or computer science, so I don't understand exactly everything. But when they started sort of restructure the sort of technology of the company to position it to position it to what eventually led to Amazon Web Services. I forget the guy's name, but one of the guys, this South African guy, became a huge part of that, right? Then when it was like, okay, we want to really like make this a business, the guy that they tapped to like develop what became EC2 was like, this sounds fun, this sounds cool, but like, I don't know if I want to stay here in Seattle or wherever he was. It might have been Seattle or San Francisco or whatever. He was like, I don't know if I want to live here anymore. I want to go back to South Africa and live in South Africa. Right? So then they were like, dude, we don't really want to lose you and all this stuff. So they were like, okay, cool, whatever. You can go back, but just still help us develop this technology. We still want to create this product. So he comes back, sets up in Constantia, actually. I think we were going to... Constantia is where there's like wine farms and stuff there. So if you don't want to go to Stellenbosch, you can actually...
awesome. Yeah, definitely. Good to visit there.
Yeah. So he gets a house and office in Constantia and ends up literally creating EC2 in Constantia.
Wow.
How crazy.
Built here.
It literally built on this continent. On this continent. And AWS is like by far the most profitable part of Amazon.
Right, yeah. It's the most profitable, and almost everyone, happy to say that we love AWS. We use AWS for our services. And it's quite an amazing like cloud platform. And I would see how massive it is grown, like Google, Microsoft Azure is trying to catch up with AWS, but they still have a long way. So you can see how an African has contributed to building like the first cloud, biggest, most reliable cloud platform for everyone to use and to rely on.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think of that, I think AWS has also set up in South Africa.
Yeah, they have a huge office. I have friends who work there in Cape Town. And I think now they're wanting to set up their like more the retail part of the business. They have like huge property developments. I literally drive past it not every day, but every time I go to the office,
Right.
I see their development.
Yeah, I think they all seen a huge opportunity. In as much as we're gonna be contributors, I mean, even from them looking into terms of getting the workforce of developers to continue building that product, they're also looking at all these startups or companies that are growing and mushrooming out of Africa to build on the technology or into the cloud platform to host their services, there. So that's why they're really investing into giving credits to really woo everyone to be onto their platform, because they see with that growing population, everyone's gonna be on the internet, and that's how they're gonna grow and maintain their business. So you're gonna get these startups to help them set up onto their cloud platform. So it's an interesting time to see in that.
Honestly,
all these AWS, Google, Microsoft, all like telling startups, hey, we're gonna support you to keep growing. And the biggest support that they always mention first is you got our cloud platform. It's the best. Of course, they're all doing well, the three of them, but everyone has to make the call, like which one they wanna see, and that's they're looking at what's gonna 2040 look like. How many startups are we gonna have in Africa consuming our product and contributing? In as much as we're contributing to creating, we're also contributing to growth of these big companies that are based out of the US. So they see us as like a revenue growth factor to their companies or to their sustainability. So I mean, Africa would be a big, huge thing in the next 5 years or so, 10 years.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's wild. I'm excited to see it. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah.
I could honestly talk about like Amazon and the other tech companies sort of coming to the continent for hours. But I won't bore you with more discussion about them.
No, tech is amazing. I mean, it's all amazing to live in a world where we've seen all these massive shifts and massive growth from all these big tech companies.
Literally.
I think people are all a bit envious of us. Like, they didn't have this in 2000s when they are growing.
Yeah.
But we all have access to all and exposure. Like, even as I would say, the millennials, like, we also envious of the Gen Z, because the Gen Z are growing at a time where all these shifts are happening and they have everything at their disposal.
Yeah.
That's why also for us at work, then we see that we have a huge role. One, for African kids who are all these Gen Zs, to create an exposure, to tell them, hey, look, guys, this is what is in the world. These are all the opportunities out there. So one is create that excitement and get them to know what the future is gonna look like.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, when we were growing, when we were still in school, it was still the traditional way of stuff. Like, just get a good grades and either pursue all these traditional courses like engineering. But now it's a different rule talk.
Honestly.
So that shows like what people really need to do.
Yeah. So I spent. I was born in Nigeria, but I grew up most of my life in South Africa. I literally spent my first year of like life in Nigeria, and then I went back in grade 7 I think my parents just wanted me to see like where they came from and like see some of my heritage and stuff. So I went back for literally for boarding school in grade 7. And I remember I'd never done this before and I've never done it since, but we literally had to take notes. Like if we wanted like a copy of the contents of whatever class it was, the teacher would write on the chalkboard the notes for the class, and we had to copy down the notes from what the teacher was writing into our book. And if he finished, say, in 5 minutes, and you're a slow writer, which I was because I'd never done this before, and you were a slow writer, you would have to just like, he would rub it out and then do the next sort of page,
Right.
And it was like, I don't know, it just felt like technology could have made this whole experience just way better. So I don't know if that's still the case. I hope not, in that school that I went to. And that was one of like sort of the nicer schools. So I think for me that just is like an example of how technology sort of kind of, or the lack of technology sort of hinders things, even in sort of, I mean, the teachers were well trained, they were all great, they cared about our education and stuff, but yeah.
It's still, I think, even for Kenya, that's a scenario. I mean, you gotta get the teacher to, and especially even where the schools, they don't have resources. I mean, they don't have the books, and the teacher, they all dependent on what the teacher is doing. So, and you can imagine, like, pretty much there's no learning happening there because you are in a task of just writing and writing.
Yeah.
And the teacher lecturing. So that's, I would say, because the big question that a good report that was done for Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda was, are our children actually learning? Because there's a difference between learning and going to school.
Absolutely.
Because I think what Uganda are doing in that school, you're basically going to school. But when we look at learning is, are you really, one, understanding and mastering what you are learning? Like even if you are tested. Because I mean, you're spending a lot of time to just taking notes and not really consuming whatever that content you're writing and understanding it. And beyond that, then also looking at, because that's more of like knowledge. And I think people now are moving into more of skill-based learning, where all that content you try and could you all package it together and translate into doing something, or a skill that you could master. So it's a wide, I think what pretty schools should do is move from the traditional way of doing stuff to a very new way of understanding that we need to move. We're not saying that knowledge is bad. Knowledge is good. We all definitely need knowledge. We all need to know facts. But then now we're looking at the world is shifting from that, and the world is demanding that we have skills that can be used to contribute to the growing world. And the only way that can happen is through schools. But then again, so learning again, a lot of discussions is like, does learning has to happen in a four-wall setup?
Yeah.
Can learning happen anywhere? And that's why we've seen a lot of mushrooming of virtual learning. I think that became quite evident during the COVID period time. But then again, also the virtual learning, is it meeting the skill-based learning? So the way of delivery, I think, shouldn't be a question, but it should be like, what is being delivered? Does it match what is being demanded? Because it's a game of supply and demand.
Literally. Yeah, like all business.
Right.
Okay, that's actually a perfect sort of segue. So we've been talking for quite a bit now, but we haven't properly introduced you and your business. So we know a bit about who you are, like where you're from, and you've said you're sort of targeting the space of primary school education.
Right, yeah, so it's purely K-12, but I mean, there's a lot. I mean, we do believe that we could have students in K-12 contributing to the growing world, because it's all about skill-based.
Yeah, so what's your product? I think in the background of the podcast, you can kind of see this like miniature house that's been built. So can you just tell us about what your product is, what your service is, what's the name of your business, like just... Yeah, maybe the sort of elevator pitch, if you will.
Right. So my business is called Angaza Elimu, so purely Pan-African, Swahili, and two words. So Elimu is education, Angaza is light. So kind of like we're shining light on education, or making education brighter. And so why we're saying that is that we're looking at changing and looking at the two main problems about quality and relevance, like what I spoke about earlier. Getting kids to master what they're learning on their foundational literacy and mastery, and then getting them to get the right skills that are being demanded by the current world. So that's basically what Angaza Elimu does. And to achieve that, then we're looking at how we could leverage technology to deliver this quality and relevant education. That kind of point is simple. And then so with the leverage of technology, I mean, this we look into terms of two products and one service. So the first product on quality is to what we have is an adaptive and interactive e-learning platform, and basically that personalizes the learning experience for students. And we looking into again also leverage got top-notch higher in terms of what AI can do and to understand students' different abilities and what is that they need to close that gap of mastery. So we look into a classroom where students, of course, students have different abilities and they should not be taught at the same way, same manner, same pace, same resources. So that's what we're changing. So what your gaps are, what your strengths are, is what your journey is, and that's what we're providing for students. And then we're now supporting teachers to understand what their classrooms are. So teachers are not teaching all students in the same manner. They now have to reach them with customized instruction. So with that insight, it's a massive thing. Like a classroom, you find in a teacher having so many recommendations for every specific student in terms of where they are for their own growth, for the bit of the foundation. And so lastly, onto the bit of relevance is now where we've seen that a lot of schools are not teaching about innovation, and so we positioned ourselves, as we would say, definitely we are a school, so as an innovation school to teach students on science, technology, engineering, art, math, and entrepreneurship. So again, here as well, as I said, we wanna have a journey. I mean, not all of students in like the village I come do understand what actually, like what we have on the background, what IoT is, or what the current world is, because Africa is still behind. We do have to admit that, and there's that huge digital divide, and we're building that exposure. Once kids really get excited about these skills, now when we move to an enrichment training, now to start training them these skills. I mean, you're excited about this certain skill, then now we have to train you on that skill. And once you can provide you with the resources, and that's why we're building localized kits like on STEAME education, like the IoT kits that we're doing and all that. And after that, when they now have to graduate from that by either build what we call in ready to work, is to look at the environment that they are in, and students are brilliant and they're quite innovative, and then we get to ask them now to identify a problem and build a prototype that solves that problem in their society. So basically, that's like the whole 360 view of what Angaza Elimu does in the Kenyan education space, and ultimately we're looking to scale this across the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah.
Wow, that is you guys are doing God's work, actually.
Yeah, we give it back to society.
Honestly,
Right.
honestly, wow.
Yeah.
But you're giving back to society, but it is a business at the end of the day.
Right.
So can you talk a bit about the business model? I'm just kind of curious, because it's like, okay, you're teaching kids who are I'm assuming low income schools.
Right.
So what's the sort of revenue model? What's the business model and stuff?
Yeah, so we are software as a service, a SaaS business. So it's purely subscription. So both products, the e-learning and the innovation STEAME product, they are all subscription. And looking at the nature of the market that we are serving, then now we've aimed to focus on a B2B to C model. So where we've seen a lot of money being pumped in the education space by development partners, non-government organization, corporates, the government itself. So those majorly are our customers, because they do have the ability to pay for our product. And so that's why it's a business to business, and then to the consumers who now get to enjoy the service being paid by the businesses out there. So that's basically our business model. For the e-learning, it's typically about $15 per student per year. For the Innovator STEAM program, it's all based on the different courses that we have. Like for the Internet of Things training programs, about $75 per student to go through the whole course. So that's how we're doing business, and we ultimately gonna see that growing, and asking for more ecosystem players to keep pumping money in the space, so that we can reach to those who really deserve what we're doing, but then they don't have the ability to pay for that. And for us also to remain sustainable, because I mean, we would have wanted to give this for free, but then we don't have that capacity or resources.
Absolutely. And it has to be sustainable.
Exactly.
And you also don't want to actually. So I've always been interested in these kinds of businesses where you have like a service that's being provided, but this service is sort of being paid for by a third party in a way,
Yeah.
right? Like, is there... So this is a bit of a challenging kind of question, right? So it's funny, I literally said I don't want to do too many questions, but here I am asking questions.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
Conversation could definitely have questions.
Yeah,
answers.
Sure.
But it's not an interview. It's a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always wondered about this, right? Like, because there's a lot of I think a lot of the sort of social entrepreneurship we see on the continent,
Right. Yeah.
is paid for by development partners, right? By some corporate or an NGO or, even the government, right? But then the sort of end user is they're not paying for it. So is there any potential for sort of misalignment in that, where I guess in a way you know the principal agent problem, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, in this case, who's the principal and who's the agent? And like, is the student in the classroom probably the principal, but then the agent who's sort of giving the business instructions and the money is maybe in a sense, that's the agent.
Yeah.
So how have you had any chat, if you have a story about that, or where you encounter that, or
I think the ecosystem is growing, and I'm gonna have just to relook at this model of B2B2C is not a new model. I mean, we've had donors in Africa way back, even from the 80s and all that, and so we have first to admit there's a great misalignment of what every player is doing in the ecosystem. So we look at the business who's providing the service, the person who is paying for that service, and the consumer in that triangle. And so at many times, we would see, even for our business, we would encounter like the person either who is paying for the product is probably totally misinformed of what they want to see at the end.
Wow. Okay.
Or they do have very wrong metrics that they are looking at. And so what, like for us, for example, we're trying to do is we build in this new product on data, because we feel that we do have the potential. I mean, you can't measure what you don't know.
Facts.
And so the only way to do that is if you do have evidence. And so we now have embarked on a journey of creating evidence for the education ecosystem in Africa. Okay. And that's what we now want to keep telling the world or the ecosystem players is, hey, take a step back, move away from your boardroom assumptions and all that, and look at what the evidence is telling you. Look at what the data is telling you. And from that, then now you can understand where do you want to place your dollar. Because we all have this. Everyone now knows that everyone is on a mission to say that we want good quality education, we want relevant education, but it ends there. So a lot of people, and that's why you hear a lot of donors say, "Oh, we made a wrong investment. We didn't get the results," because they were rushed to just have boardroom assumptions, and I was usually called them. And so with
assumptions.
What we're doing is show this evidence. It's all data. Data doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And now start having these conversations with them and saying, this is where you need to make the investment. This is the most pressing issue. This is what is expected. I mean, and that this is just basically data that is accurate, is reliable. It's from real users, not just from data from we interviewed 100 students and this is what they told us. This is data of we've been in the space for 3 years. This is the trend that we've seen about literacy and numeracy.
Sure.
And this is how you can only solve literacy and numeracy. This is the trend that we've seen about skills. This is how you can only solve the problem of unskilled workforce. So if that's the whole thing of principal and agent, unless people really look at data and evidence, we'll continue having that misaligned.
Yeah. I think that's so important to. I think that's a really important part of like minimizing the misalignment between, you know, the outcomes that the students need and the sort of outcomes that the funders say they want to see, but maybe they have their own perspective of this is how we think it should be done, but they don't have the data even to be like, oh, okay, actually our initial approach maybe was wrong, or it was just, you know, going in the wrong direction in a way, like just not really hitting the mark.
Right. Yeah. So it's you're very right on that, and so what we do hope is we could have a coordinated ecosystem.
Yeah. Exactly.
And people should stop working in silos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people should know, oh, we did this. Come out even for those others who are doing project. Make your learnings available to the ecosystem, so for everyone to learn.
Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself, because someone's gonna come completely replicate what you are doing.
Yeah.
Just dumping, saying, oh, we wanna outdo what they did, and they completely A to Z replicate what you're doing, get the same results, they're out. So we need to stop that cycle. We need to see people really working together. That's why it's an ecosystem, and everyone depends on each other on an ecosystem.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think I don't know. There's like you told me some interesting stories about the business.
Right.
I don't know if all of these stories are like sort of fit for the podcast. I'm gonna try and hint at the story I want you to tell, but if you don't want to tell it, that's also fine. Actually, let's start with something a bit easier, right? Like, so you guys won a grant from a huge organization,
right?
Do you want to sort of say what that is and what was that?
Yeah, see, we've all our business running has been purely grant funded, and a lot of bootstrapping too. But yeah, I think the big checks that we've had are purely grants. So we some of the guys are proud to say we're part of the UNICEF Innovation Fund portfolio. And so we've won huge grants from UNICEF, and basically the goal of this is to build products to support the ecosystem. I mean, UNICEF is on a mission to support every child and to ensure safety, to ensure they have health, education, and wash facilities. And so we rely on that education bit. And so that was a good boost for our business, because that one shows that, I mean, receiving such a huge grant from such a huge organization, it's a validation for the work that we're doing. And so we're moving to utilize this grant to keep now mushrooming further and going to another better new level of showing the education, or just doing what we wanted to do, I would say, to really promote education. And I think one of the biggest things that we were looking was to, when we actually doing this grant application, was showing UNICEF like, we want to show the ability of personalized learning, that we want each student to be taken care of. And so we now on a path to show the evidence that personalized learning can work. And with this, that once we show this evidence, this the beauty with UNICEF, and we're really excited about this, is that it's gonna be replicated in much of the other countries where they're doing their work. And so that means that a product mushrooming out from Kenya can now be replicated in other education systems. And so, as I said, it also lies along on our good roadmap of working with development partners, because that's now a way to work with people who have built, I would say, infrastructure, or people who have built their portfolio in the education ecosystem, and now you're able to scale quite easily, because you have a big supporter. of your work. So yeah, that's one of the biggest grants. Really excited to see, and of course we always looking forward to growing our work with UNICEF and more people out there in the space.
Yeah. Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you.
I think I don't know. I feel like people might be interested in the numbers. I don't know. If you don't want to say, you don't have to.
It's in public domain. I mean, all the funding from UNICEF is all in public domain. So when we were first growing, first investment made by UNICEF was $84,000, and that was in 2020. This year they made a growth investment of $200,000. So in a total of $284,000. Yeah.
Okay, well, congrats.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
That's really good. That's really good. And I feel like that amount of money goes relatively far in Africa, especially when you're pushing with, when you have great partners on board and when you have a strong team and some of the people that you sort of surround yourself with in the company. I'm sure that money is going to be able to really push you really far.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big win. That's what I really say. It's a big win for us because it helps us to do a lot, I would say. Grow our team, and especially it's more around product development. I mean, I'm able to get some of the best minds with this to keep being innovative. I mean, I have a background on technical side, so I really want to see a lot of minds coming together and just putting the innovativeness in building the product that I want to do. Because I mean, just being specific on what AI can do, it's a huge thing. I mean, you can imagine like the AI engineers at Google, the AI engineers, like it's not just a one-man show. It's a massive team. I mean, of course, we're not saying that we wanna get where Google is, of course.
Why not? I mean,
but we're growing towards that, and we're starting small and keep it growing, and we hope at some point we could be like a case study of one of the biggest education company that has really gone into AI and research and showing how data can transform the education ecosystem.
I think I think I've heard before we spoke now during this podcast, I've heard a bit of this, but I think, some of the conversation we had a few drinks and some of it was sort of in rush and with a lot of noise around. So I didn't get like everything that you just said that you're doing in the company until right now. So now I'm like, and even this idea of like personalized learning, the quality and relevance. I mean, absolutely, that's super important for basic education. But any sort of learning at any level, that seems like it would be super important. Because I'm even thinking about us, right? So I'm going to be honest about the reason why I started this podcast. So I've always been really into podcasts, but the point of this is actually partially to sort of get the word about our company out there, Coding for Finance.
An amazing thing that you're doing, because
Oh wait, thanks for that.
That was a brilliant thing. Upskilling people when they are on their jobs, it's a hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
But you taking up that challenge and saying it's a thing that we need to do, because not most of I think even looking at I was reading a study by McKinsey in terms of during the recession that was happening in 2008. So there was a lot of upskilling in companies just because of so basically learning and development. But because of what happened in 2008, a lot of companies scrapped off learning and development in the institution. So and you'd see the ripple effect of the type of people, the growth that is happening in the companies, because people no longer do that. I think a couple of people. So if we have institutions through us coming up and saying, hey, we need to upskill your team, you need to check up your learning and development, because learning is for everyone,
for everyone forever.
Exactly for everyone forever. That's the right term.
I think and I think that's what's so cool about the space is I don't know, I think this happens when you get really busy and really into your business. You just do this and you just want to focus on trying to get that next sort of step and things like that. But I find like conversations like this so illuminating, and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. It's so great to see what else is happening out there. So I'm just in this conversation. We did have a private conversation after about the like how maybe some kind of a partnership, because like this idea of like personalized learning I think is so important, and it really is the future, right?
Yeah.
And definitely it's super important for basic education, but I'm sure, someone in their 30s who wants to upskill with skills that have been sort of outside of their domain but are becoming more relevant to their current job.
Yeah.
Personalized learning would be super, super important to them. I think that's something that people
Yeah,
are interested in.
let's even like kind of take a back from education and look at personalization even in our normal lives. We all enjoy personalization of everything. You enjoy personalization of your Netflix movies. You enjoy personalization of your YouTube. You enjoy personalization of the podcast that you watch. Right? Yeah. So these are the things that and these are sort of things that I was looking into. Like, why is it all these good massive things happening at everything, but not education? And education being like the backbone of everything.
Wow.
And so if we enjoy all this, and that's why we're on a mission to say, let's put education also at the forefront of everything. Let not education come as like a buy thing that you're looking at, because you want to work smarter, you want to live smarter, and a lot of all these things could also be achieved, can only be achieved through education. So personalization is like, let people just make it work. Yeah. So it's like a huge call to everyone. Like, don't just look at like personalization for entertainment, personalization for shopping. Let's do also personalization for education.
Okay, that's mind blowing.
Yeah.
That's next level.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so true. I'm like having
a deep breath.
honestly, my mind is blown right now. My mind is blown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about the team. Like, who's involved? I know you have a board. I'm sure you have people working in the what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
We still a small team. So we're currently 16 people full time. So our structures are pretty simple. We don't wanna create a bureaucratic environment, and so we're looking at how could we have a team that's collaborating, that keeps innovating, a team that keeps talking to everyone at any time. And so that's kind of the team that we're trying to build. And so when we're looking at what are the key major things that we want to do right now, of course we have a lot of stuff that we want to do. Like right now speaking, like you've been asked, I would say, oh, I want to hire 10 data scientists. I want to hire 20 machine learning engineers to get this model of personalization work quickly. But because of the type of resource that we have, we don't have that capacity. And so kind of like we look into terms of course, I have a team that has a lot of like a good background or passionate about tech, passionate about education, and also passionate about business. Because at the end of the day, it's a business that we're building, right?
Yeah.
And the business is all about what are your cash flows. A business is not about a product, right? People have to move away of believing that great products will build great businesses. No,
I've really learned that.
Yeah, so great businesses are built when you have people paying for that great product that you built, and the only way is to get people to sell that product. So that's basically how our team looks like. Of course, we kind of have like an imbalance because we have more of the tech and product team, right, constituting about like 60% of the team, and like the 40% or 20% are business and 10% education. So that's what the team look like. We like on a mission, like we kind of like right now looking for kind of doing our seed round to purely get more team members or to grow the team, because every now and then, every day we finding something interesting that we can keep building, or something that we need to sell on a different manner. So we need more input on that. And for us, in as much as I usually say we're on the service industry. So the service industry is basically driven by people. In as much as you can have a lot of automation, you need people.
Yeah.
You need people
You maybe can leverage the people with technology, but you can't do it without people.
Exactly. And yeah, very brilliant. And that's what we're looking into terms of we need people to keep talking. I mean, we spend much of our time. Personally, even before COVID, I think I would spend about 4 days a week just in schools talking. I mean, I'm not an office person. And that's the key thing that we've kept, and that's how we've managed to keep growing, to keep learning. Because every day we're talking to teachers and teachers are telling us, this is all we need. This is what we're struggling with. This is how my classroom looks like. And now when we have people talk to teachers and we have people talk to students, we have people talk to parents, then we come back and say, this is what we had today. This is what we had this week. This is more pressing. This needs to be done. So you need people to just have those human conversations. Because if you tell a teacher to fill in a survey, they won't give you like very accurate or reliable information.
Yeah.
But when you just create that good, conducive environment, even with kids. I mean, I love kids. I love going playing with kids, and that's how you get to hear from them. That's when they get to open up and express their needs.
That's so true.
And that's how we want to just keep growing, sending more people into the field, and helping those people get us the information that we need.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's really something.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm out of questions. So
Don't feel free to ask anything. Out of work, out of business.
Yeah. So how's it been like sort of balancing, the business stuff and like your personal life? Like, I don't know. Do you want to sort of talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, it's a struggle. So I don't have that balance, I'll admit. I mean, I put in a lot of hours into work, which is not healthy. But that's expected for every founder, because you wanna see your dream come true. You just want to sit like relaxing and things are not moving. And so with that, then there are things that you have to sacrifice.
Sure.
But then for me and with a lot of talking to a lot of people and getting advice, and also I'm now kind of trying to create that balance. I think one of the biggest decisions that I made, I think start of this year is create time, of course, have time for work. So what I did was I only work from Monday to Friday. So if you email me on Saturday, I won't get to respond to you because I'll see the notification on my phone.
Sure.
But I won't get to email you back until
Monday. Monday 8 a.m.
Yeah, Monday 8 a.m. But I'm back to office. We get to work on 9 a.m.
Sure.
So wait until that. So then I can have
that's good. 2
of my good days, Saturday and Sunday, to just relax, refresh and have fun, like stay with friends, family, and do as much as I can, like basically enjoy life. I think one of the biggest thing that I've seen a lot, and I grew this, was about fitness and hiking. So which we did yesterday, and so that's what I'm really just being in the mountains, like opening up my mind, and it really gives me energy to wake up on Monday and kick ass. Is that the right word to use?
Literally.
So that's the life. So I mean, so 2 good 48 hours of refreshing and having fun. I like having fun. I want to
sure. That's good. I mean, this is, again, wow. I feel like I'm going to seem like such a Drake fan, but another line from Drake is, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I still got to win the race.
Right,
you can't just be like working literally every second of every day. You'll burn yourself out.
Exactly,
there's no way.
It's not worth it. I mean,
honestly.
You have a life beyond that.
Yeah. Huh. So, Okay, so then, yeah, what do you like to do on the weekends? You like to go for hikes? I mean, we went for a hike
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah, that was dope. That was dope. My legs are still feeling it.
Sorry for making you come down. We expected the cable car.
Yeah, we were going to take the cable car. So we hiked up Table Mountain on Plaza Clip Gorge.
Yeah.
And when we got to when we started at the bottom, there was a sign that said the cable car's out, and it was a bit like, okay,
let's get there and see.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, let's climb this mountain and we'll see after if it's actually. So we get to the top and we're like, okay, cool. So we're sort of wandering around the top of Table Mountain, and then we get to where the cable car is, and there's like a guy. Like the cable car was fully closed. There's like construction equipment everywhere.
Right.
There was literally a guy like hanging literally fixing the thing, like hanging from like this little platform.
Yeah.
He's like trying to repair the. Oh my god. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And then it was like, now we have to walk all the way back down. So that's fun.
And it wasn't an easy hike. We have to admit that.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. My legs will definitely say
you gotta be fine by tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So hiking is on top of my priority for fun stuff. So I love adventure. I love just traveling.
Actually,
So hiking is on top of that. I also do love taking long drives and just visiting new places, because kind of like takes my mind off from my normal way of my apartment and all that, now that we don't go to the office, and so that really opens up. So there are a couple of so hiking, adventure, and just hanging out with friends, like that really is also a massive thing for me. So when I get to hang out with friends, with my girlfriend and everything, and then just going out and having those conversations, they're just massive thing. Like, because like Monday to Friday, I'm just talking to my computer and I'm actually not talking to my colleagues, because I'm talking to my computer so that I can reach them.
Yeah, you're literally at home.
You get it, yeah.
On Zoom or Google Meet.
Yeah, so ultimately, so those real in-person conversations are quite just massive for me, and just listening to. I think for me, it's more of listening to people and just hearing their thoughts, their thought process, hearing what they wanna do. It's a massive and ultimately the other major thing that I love doing is watching football. Now Premier League is back. Unfortunately this weekend I didn't manage to watch, but so Premier League is a massive thing for me. So and we also actually think like right now competing on Fantasy Premier League, where you have your own team that you manage in, and we have our own league. So it's an interesting thing to do and see how it spans. So that's basically how I spend my weekends.
Okay, yeah, I think on the fantasy league, people at work, like it's super popular. People at work as well are part of the fantasy league. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I really should just get more involved in it. Just like I kind of follow soccer. I know like how it works. I played it when I was a kid, but I'm not like a super fan.
I mean, you can join, but I want you to probably take a little much of your time. Because kind of like trying to figure out. Because you wanna be on top. Yeah, you basically a coach.
Yeah.
So you wanna look at like who's gonna give you points, whom do you serve this week, whom do you sell, who disappointed you last week.
Yo.
So it's a whole huge thing. I won't lie, that probably takes me about like 30 minutes to kind of just say, this is the team that I'm going to play this weekend. And of course, I mean, you don't want to be at the bottom of your table.
Sure, yeah.
Because your friends will be like, yo, what's up with you? I think we actually going to start setting up funds for our league right now.
Really?
So whoever wins,
actual funds.
Yeah, whoever wins walks away with for that week. So that means that you have to invest your time to really get your team.
You don't want to lose
it's an interesting thing. So I'm happy to do that, and also it gets you involved to keep following up the Premier League.
Sure.
Again, World Cup is coming up this year, so
Yeah.
an interesting time in the world of football.
Honestly.
Yeah.
This is actually getting me excited to like start watching football.
Shit, man. Football is live.
Yeah. When I was in school in Nigeria, it was like a rule you had to support a team. Like people like if someone wanted to like sort of get to know you, the first thing they would ask is, what team do you support? So before that period, I never watched soccer or anything. So people kept asking me like, what team do you support? And I'd be like, I don't watch soccer. I don't support a team.
Right.
And then eventually, I think Man U at the time was doing really well. So I was like, that was a team I heard. I think I knew Wayne Rooney, the name Wayne Rooney. He was super. So I was like, Man U, that's my team kind of thing. That just became my team.
Right.
Then eventually, so I guess that's sort of like my team now.
Eventually, they are doing badly.
Exactly. So now I'm like,
they're at the bottom of the table right now.
Are they literally at the bottom?
Yeah, number 20.
That I didn't know. Damn. So yeah.
We're sorry to Man U fans.
So yeah, I guess that's my team currently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. I'm saying this on a podcast that Man U is my team, but honestly, I should be hiding my face in shame and just not talking about soccer. I should be like, I don't watch soccer. I don't know what that is. Like, what's football? Yeah. Oh.
You might start watching, maybe.
Yeah, I might.
If Man U starts performing.
If they start performing, then I might, with one eye open, just
10 years from now, that's when they start performing.
Literally. I saw on Twitter though that they got some like really big signing this week or something.
Yeah, they signed Casemiro from Real Madrid, but I don't think it's gonna help them. I mean,
he said he wants.
They have Ronaldo, and it's not helping them.
Yeah. He literally said he wants to like go save the team.
He might be the one being saved. He might be the one being saved. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I guess I watch Formula One sometimes.
Yeah, I do watch Formula One. I mean,
Formula 1.
Yeah.
What team are you?
Oh yeah, I'm Team Mercedes.
Yeah. I feel like
we're doing badly this season.
Yeah, but they started to turn it around like 2 races ago or something.
It's gonna be tough catching up. It's almost gone, but
honestly,
yeah, we do hope next season.
Yeah. There was a thing with I think when they changed the rules for the cars, and then Mercedes now had to like develop a new car. Mercedes, Aston Martin, and I think there was one other team that sort of copies Mercedes. All of their cars were rubbish. They had that like bounce. It was like the cars were bouncing. And they
were that's what I was saying.
Yeah, so now it's like, yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm sorry to say this if you're a Red Bull fan, but I don't want to see Max Verstappen win that thing. I really don't. Like, he gives me weird vibes.
Yeah.
He gives me weird vibes.
I don't like him. No offense, though.
Nah.
Yeah, we gotta support our guy.
Honestly,
Levy.
The team that I wanted to see win. I like an underdog story. I also like good business stories. So the team I was supporting was Aston Martin, actually.
They have an issue.
They are so bad. Yeah. So bad. You can see I like the underdog. Man U, Aston Martin, like...
Don't say loudly Man U is underdog.
That's the thing. They have
it's a struggling club.
They have a lot of money.
Big. Yeah. So they don't have underdog. Aston Martin is literally underdog.
Yeah,
they don't have the money and all that.
But I guess Aston Martin sort of has a lot of money because, their owner's a billionaire now.
Yeah.
Like, he came in with a bunch of money from his fashion businesses. Came in, changed the name. He's now the chairman of the Aston Martin... the actual Aston Martin company.
Right, yeah.
And then owns the racing team. So it's like, okay, you have all this money, do something. Win a race, please. Just one.
Just one.
Just one, man.
We're not asking for, is that too much to ask for?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, if not next season, maybe the next season, they'll be proper contenders. So my whole thing is they're investing for the long term, I'm guessing. Because I feel like what's the guy's name? So you know the father owns the team, and then his son is one of the racers.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to forget him.
yeah, Skoll.
Oh, it has escaped my
Something
mind.
like that. Lawrence. There's Lawrence and I'll remember the names. I think it's Shoal. Anyway, so I think the father wants the kid to be a really good racer, and I think he's also trying to put things around him to make sure that he becomes successful. And I think definitely, I mean, obviously there's nepotism there, because like, why does he have the seat over someone else?
Right. Yeah.
But like, I do think that by taking a sort of patient approach, the kid will eventually start to show results. I hope. Or else it's just gonna blow up in their faces and everyone's gonna be like, yo, that guy put family first, but at the expense of all the people that have invested time and money into trying to get this team somewhere. So yeah, I don't know. I hope it pays well.
Crazy, yeah. We do hope that do, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only wishing for Mercedes to get their shit together.
Yeah.
We can get Hamilton to at least win one more season to become the all-time.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's something that I really want as well.
Yeah.
So it's undisputed. This is the GOAT.
Yeah. He's
This
like
is the
that.
GOAT. Then we can, yeah. Once he gets that one, then I'll probably shift fully to Aston Martin. But I mean, I don't know.
He was recently in Kenya. I think he's still.
Yeah,
I think he's back. I'm not sure. And then there's this photo of him holding a goat. So literally a goat holding a goat.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful photo. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I had some good time.
Yeah. Damn. Yo, okay. I just want to say, right?
Yeah.
This conversation is like gonna watch the space. In the next 2 years, Code Finance is going to be a completely different company based on this conversation. Because we've devoted ourselves to accountants and finance professionals.
Right.
But constantly we're trying to come up with new approaches to our teaching and their learning, trying to figure out, okay, what are the new tech skills that accountants and just finance professionals need, and how can we sort of continue to push the mark, right? So we're super focused on accountants. The exact approach is always open to change. So whatever works better than what we've done before will always change. So I think, the vision, I have it in my mind, but basically it's, to articulate it is, basically we teach accountants how to code, but that's not that's a sort of direction, but that isn't a endpoint.
Right.
The endpoint is who knows, right? Who knows what it's going to be. So, I think this conversation this might be arrogant to say, but I think all the accountants in South Africa are so lucky that we had this conversation.
Yeah, we keep doing it for them. Really excited to see how you guys grow. Happy to always contribute. It's an interesting space that you are in. I mean, I'm glad that I got to make this trip down here.
Yeah, it's so lucky that we even got to meet.
Yeah, just get to learn. We do have a lot to see. I mean, I just have this gut that there's a lot in this space.
Absolutely.
And a lot of untapped potential.
Absolutely.
So, an amazing time. This is happening. Things are just aligning.
It's happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if any parting words that you want to, I think we can round up now. I actually don't know what the time is.
Yeah, I mean, super, thanks so much. I mean, thanks that we got to meet and we got to do all this amazing stuff.
So cool.
This, I mean, is just the beginning of everything. Definitely, there's a lot that we can do, and so super excited to see how I wanna keep growing each other. We all learning. I mean, no one has monopoly of knowledge, as we usually say, and see what it is that we can have. I mean, no one knows what the future 1 year down the line might look like.
Yeah.
And to definitely, I mean, if you want to also learn about the Kenyan ecosystem, quite competitive, I would say.
Sure, yeah. Kenya is really heated.
Quite competitive. I mean, they usually say it's the Silicon Savannah.
Silicon Savannah.
Yeah, this is the Savannah Valley. Is it the Savannah Valley? Savannah Valley. Actually, that's the right one.
Oh, okay, that's dope.
Yeah, because much of the innovation, usually it's like everyone, like all these even huge startups that we've seen in Africa, in one way or the other, they kind of like began in Nairobi, because that's where everyone there's like a high affinity, especially for experts in Nairobi, and they're setting shop there and all that. So, but then it kind of becomes quite competitive for them, and then once it works for them in Nairobi, they're like out to go to other countries where it's easy to kind of them to grow that quickly.
And I'll have the track record as well too.
Exactly. So super exciting to see what we can do together, and how we can keep growing the ecosystem. But dude.
Yeah.
Thanks, Juan, for all the sacrifice, for offering everything to do, and so.
No, it's been nice having you, and it's my pleasure. Like, it was great to meet you, and I think I've definitely learned a lot just from our conversation. So
same here.
I'm super excited and energized for what's coming next. So thanks for that, man.
Great. You gotta say karibu in Swahili.
What do you say?
Welcome, karibu.
Karibu.
Yeah.
Karibu.
Yeah. That's how you tell someone welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah. Karibu.
Like after they say thank you, or
then you say karibu. Yeah.
Oh, sure. So how do you say thank you in Swahili?
Asante.
Asante.
Yeah, asante. Yeah. Swahili is being taught in South African school. It's really exciting to see about that. Yeah.
So. Okay, cool.
An exciting time.
That is exciting. Yeah.
Great.
Definitely help us to be a bit more Pan-African.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Forever. Africans forever, dude. Good stuff, man.
I want to tell you about my startup, Coding for Finance. We teach data analytics skills to finance professionals. So if you're interested in data analytics, programming, or data science, then carry on listening. Codingforfinance.co.za started in the final year of my undergraduate finance degree. I was in a lecture that was being given by the CEO of this banking consulting company, and he was telling us about the tools that we needed to be successful in the finance industry. He told us about the leadership tools, which included things like integrity and courage. And then he told us about the technical tools, right? Which now, upon reflection, actually was a lot of data analytics tools. So he mentioned Excel, finance people's favorite, VBA, Python, SQL, RStudio, and probably a few others. His talk really inspired me to pursue my goal of being this finance person and getting these technical tools. So the first thing I started with was YouTube. So I decided I wanted to learn Python, and I went to YouTube to try and learn. But I found on YouTube, there was great content, but it would be 8-hour-long lectures with adverts in between, and there was no accountability and no community. So I was like, okay, YouTube probably isn't really going to work. So then the next thing I tried was LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning was offered to us students. We had access to LinkedIn Learning for free. So I thought, hey, this is probably not a bad option. Let me try this. So went onto LinkedIn Learning. Honestly, it wasn't that different from YouTube. The only benefit was that instead of having one 8-hour-long video, it was sort of chunked into little bits that you could, watch in that way. And although LinkedIn Learning was free for us as students, if I was no longer a student, or if I wanted to do any of those courses now, it would be like 6,000 Rand a year. So that also wasn't really a great option. So then the next thing I tried was I actually tried to sign up for a university course, so like a computer science, a course that would cover Python topics. And I mean, if you've ever tried to add on a course, especially at my university, it is admin. It is extremely difficult. You have to take forms from this office and take it to that office, and then on top of that, the cost of the course plus the late registration fees for this course during the period of the year was going to be so expensive, like over 10,000 rand. So I figured, no, this probably isn't the best option for me right now. So having gone through all of this, we decided to start what became Coding for Finance. So I found some of my friends who were doing their masters in financial technology, and I was like, hey, would you guys like to teach us programming? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So and one of those people actually was Kaluba, who has become the co-founder of Coding for Finance. So, you know, it was a lot of fun. We did the course, we did it in person on campus, and one of our students actually ended up becoming an employee of that banking consulting company. So that was, yeah, it was really cool to see that someone who like stuck with it and was really determined was able to get where they were trying to go. So, how do we run an online course that is better than LinkedIn Learning, but cheaper and more convenient than university? First, you get lifetime access to our video and PDF content. Normally, this would cost 6,000 Rand. Then, after each lesson, we give a quick quiz, which we mark and provide in-depth feedback and return to you so you can become an even better data analyst, similar to a university tutorial. So over the whole course, this feedback would normally cost 5,000 Rand. Then you get unlimited time from a tutor, and if you have any questions, you can use our Q&A feature and ask a question directly on the platform, and the tutor will reply to your question pretty quickly. And then if you have more in-depth questions or something that you just need more time from someone with, then you can actually set up a meeting with the tutor through the platform. And yeah, you can set up as many meetings as you want and get as much time as you need to be able to figure out the things you need to figure out. So normally this would cost, this type of, one-on-one face-to-face assistance would cost up to 3,000 Rand. And then finally, you get to do a project, which the tutor will mark and give you in-depth feedback on to grow your skills even further. This would cost maybe 2,000 Rand. And then after you finish the course, you get a certificate to show employers the new skill that you have. This could cost up to 5,000 Rand, depending on where you go. We have students. This is something I'm so proud of. We have students who've worked in Standard Bank, Monocle Solutions, Peach Payments, and the Auditor General of South Africa, and even Engine South Africa. So we offer lifetime access to our content, quizzes with feedback, guidance from tutors, and a project and a certificate. The project and the quizzes all get marked. All of this could cost upwards of 20,000 Rand. But we really want South Africans to learn data analytics skills. So we offer our course for 2,500 Rand. And to make it even more accessible, we offer a light version of our course for 1,200 Rand, less than half of the normal price. So if you would like to learn data analytics with Coding for Finance, sign up at codingforfinance.co.za/products, or you can click the link below.